Alright, is there sound now? Are we hearing me? Aha, okay. So it looks like I had the sound now. I think the sound should be going. So I'll give that about 15 seconds. I am seeing false clipping levels here, so I'm going to try and dial down now a little bit. Alright. Should be sound now. Please, let me know, or anyone else here, let me know. I had a few more people in that left, probably because there was no audio. But I'm glad that I caught that there was no audio earlier on there. I think I know what happened. Yeah, okay, cool. So I had rebooted my laptop because it was not recognizing my video capture device. Now it recognized it, but somehow didn't recognize the audio on it. So I should double check that before I start. So thanks everybody for joining. I will start over what I was explaining into a vacuum of silence. Today I'm going to be working on these two preamp tubes here, and the power, or the phase inverter here. I did just quickly desolder this one because it had to come out. If you followed along on the stream, I had bought the wrong type. These are called mica capacitors, and mica capacitors are very clean and sterile, but apparently one of the things that's supposed to help with the tone of the Dumble is that ceramics have a little bit of actual color. They add a little bit of color to the tone, and it's not a bad kind of it. Oh, that's kind of washed out. But so I've got a couple of ceramics here. Not only that, but I also had 270 and a 300 picofarad capacitor, but I want them both to be 270. So I've got these little ceramics. I've got two of them, and we're going to be able to put them in and use them instead. So I'll have the right types of caps, and I'm going to go ahead and insert those in right now. And those went here and here. So, welcome everybody. Apologies for the audio glitch there at the beginning, but we are now swinging. I do have a few viewers tonight, and if you want to chat along, as you've seen a few people have been chatting with me already, I will try and respond as quickly as I can if I see chat. Any questions you have, no matter if they're related to this amp or not, I will be more than happy to try and answer that are just, tube related, amp related, guitar related, I don't know, whatever sounds like an interesting topic. Because, it's shop. It's time to hang out and BS and build things and all of that jazz. So, alright. So, that's one half. Let me double check to make sure I'm putting those in the right pins. Let me actually, now that I'm looking above, this little corner that's showing you what on the layout I'm working on isn't showing the right part. So we're working today in this area right here, and then in this area. And what I'm trying to hook up right now are these two 270 picofarad capacitors that go here. Now, another thing I realized, if you've been following along, that I've been totally messing up. If you notice, several times I said, oh, I don't have the right value resistor. How did I miss that? I have the wrong value capacitor. How did I miss that? It turns out, on the amp garage, there are actually two layouts and two schematics. One of them is based upon the original amp. One of them is built upon some of the modifications that Dumble did to it later. I don't know specifically. I think this is the original 84 that I have. I could pretty easily swap some of those components later, but I now have the right stuff in this case that should help me get this set up. So I just happened to not be as bad as I thought I was. I just got confused between those two different types. So, alright, so that's the first one. I did put that through pin 1 to 3. Is that correct? I think that's correct. I'm trying to look. Yeah, 1 to 3, and then between 6 and 8. Because 4 and 5 and 9, yeah. So I need to get the other one through 6 and 8. Which will be these two. I will kind of pull this guy out of the way. So these capacitors, I'm trying to remember, I had somebody explain it to me, and this is actually one of those things that I'm not even fully knowledgeable about, but they actually run between the anode and the grid, and part of it is some form of, I think it could be considered a form of feedback that kind of gets rid of some of the harshness of the overdrive, I think, if I remembered hearing right. But that's one of those things I probably should study some more and read up on, because it was a little confusing to me then, and I hope I'm not misleading people by saying what I've said already, but I think that's what I understood was the purpose of these snubber caps. Well, and one person called them stubber caps, someone else said that's a misnomer because they're not really stubber caps, but anyway. Alright, so those are back in place now. So the first thing I want to actually do is start connecting this first preamp socket. And the way that works is, I've got, if you look here, I've got a red, two blues, and a black. The red is the input coming into this guy, but the two blues are the anode outputs. So each half of these stages is going to go to one of the anodes of this guy, And then my 2 grounding wires will go to the grounds of those. And if we look at the picture here, we can see, zoom in on the layout. You want me to go? I don't know if this will go much closer, but I will try. It's, it gets really blurry, but we'll try and zoom in a little bit more. Where's my zoom button? Hopefully that's a little bit better. Is that a little bit better for you, Fino? Hopefully that's a little bit better. The grids are coming off are the same blue wires on this one. They go to pins 1. And pin 1 has the 2 10 meg resistors that are going off towards the local negative feedback. So I think that means that one of them connects to this guy. Is that right? I'm trying to double check here. So the 22K, that's the main input right there. That one gets this first one, I think. Is that right? Yeah. So this one is going to connect in to the anode. Pin 1. No, pin 6, I guess it would be in this case. I swapped them, I remember now. So I have put it into pin 1. Pin 1 is the anode. So fun part's going to be, because this is going to be a little hard for you to see and a little hard for me to do. This wire comes around and behind some stuff, and I've got the main. I'm trying to think of where it might fit best here. Actually, so there's one other thing that you're going to see here in a minute that I didn't realize until I'd already put it together, was that there's a power rail that comes in and connects down under here from here, but there's also power that comes in from here off from another area, and we can look at that in a minute. But I will have to probably do two things. Either I have to desolder this guy, but I don't think I have enough room in this hole to fit both leads, or I might have to take and cut this fairly short, but make a T out of this and bring 2 leads into one there, so that, or a Y, if you will. So, because that was done a bit weird. On the layout, if you look right here, actually I can show you on the layout, it shows just a single line coming out of here and over to here. Oh wait, now I'm looking at this. Sorry, it's this one. This is the one that shows 2. So maybe, technically, it's this one right here that I need to do that to. So this one I'm going to have to take this single lead, and I have to be able to take one lead that's going to come from the opposite side of the board over in here into it, and the other lead that has to come over and connect into the bottom half of this resistor. This one will just connect in right there, but we'll get to that also here shortly. So anyway, back to what I was working on. I'm just trying to get this anode wire to play nice and get down below here. So that I have I'm just fighting with the, there we go. Alright, so if I want it to go in there, I'm going to need to snip it off about here. And then cast that back. I'll be able to rerun the lead a little bit. Oh, you know what? This one, I always forget. When I'm in the chassis, I have to use this type of wire strippers, because the big guys like that only work when I'm out of the amp. But they work way better than these little guys. But it's what I've got. Alright, I'm glad that's better, Fino. Alright, so please do, anybody that's here and watching, I meant 4, but since I've got a few more joining, feel free to ask me any questions that come up and that might pop into your mind about what's going on. But right now, I'm just busy connecting the anode, and I just noticed that the anode, the pin is, this is going to be not easy. Try not to burn other things while I'm getting into this tight space. It's going to be fun. But the pin itself, or the socket pin, is not cleaned up enough that I can get to it. So I'm going to get my solder sucker out and clean that out really quickly, while not burning anything, hopefully, if all goes well. I missed it. There we go, got it. hope I didn't burn anything down there. It's not like I did, but we'll see, I guess. That is always, to me, with the big hands, that's my biggest problem, is not melting things with my soldering iron. Alright, so now alrighty. You know, I think I might actually do. I was worried about soldering this in before, that it would cause things to be in the way while I was trying to do this. I'm going to desolder this after all. So this will be out of my way temporarily. I will resolder that back in once I've gotten things a little more done down here. So for the anode, can you guys see in there at all? I think it looks fairly visible. I'm just working right down on this pin right here. It's just kind of next to my fingertip there, but all right, why not me? You just finished a 5E3 Tweed Deluxe. Go ahead, fire away, and I'll see if I can answer that for you. I just built a Tweedledee Deluxe, which is based upon that. Please do ask away. And while you're doing that, I'm going to solder this in really quickly, and then hopefully I can make some sense of your question. Clean that off. All right, that's soldered in. Right, one of the characteristics is not dropping a... So, if the amp sounds good, then it's probably fine. The trickier part is, usually there is supposed to be some voltage drop, and the reason for that is the tubes start conducting current. So if you aren't conducting any current, nothing's happening, meaning the tubes aren't getting a good connection to ground, then that voltage will just stay high. And you're right. Like, so say it's supposed to be 300 volts at the top of the 100K. At the bottom, it might be more like 107 or maybe 200 or something like that. If you're not getting those voltages, that usually just means that tube is not conducting. So there's a problem either from the anode connection to the pin, from the pin, or from the ground pin connection to ground, or just through the resistor to ground. So quite often what that means is you want to do a continuity test. And I will do continuity tests like this. I've got my, you can see here, I've got my multimeter. You put that on this mode that has the beep. Most of them will have a little beep mode in some way. Some of them, just when you put it on ohms resistance mode, they also have a beep continuity mode. It just depends on the multimeter. But what happens, you put those together, you get beep saying, I have a physical wired connection with very low resistance. So what I usually will do, if we look right here, these are my anode connections. If I wanted to see if I was getting good connection to ground, now this isn't connected to a ground right now, I don't think, so it wouldn't be... well, maybe, actually this one might be. Let me think. I think I'm trying to look, yeah. Alright, so I'm getting a connection. So, but what I do is I don't just connect in the actual solder point, but the leads of the resistors and the capacitors as well. That gives you proof that you're getting continuity through soldered connections so that you've got a good physical connection, etc. So always, that's one of the things I test for continuity mode, is if I say I wanted to check this IO comes over and connects to one of these two, I don't remember which, I don't connect the solder, I connect to the lead of the resistor past the solder joint, and then I touch that. See, now I know that I have a good soldered connection here, and a good soldered connection there, all the way through. In fact, I could use a pin, if I push it in the pin here. Yep, so that is one of the best tests if you think that you're not getting conductivity through the 5E3. Hopefully that makes sense. The voltage drop is a sign the tube is conducting and do its job. If it's not dropping and you're also not getting output, that means there's something not allowing the tube to conduct, and therefore it will not amplify. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, clarify for me something that I maybe was missing with that. But all right, so what's next? So I just did the anode of that side. I got to get the cathode of that side, and all the cathodes are identical. It doesn't matter which one I grab, but for neatness, I will grab the one that's closest to it. This one here. Similarly, I will run it through and down, and that's going to come around. Actually, let me try this. Yeah, in fact, somebody on one of the forums just within the last day also asked the same question because they were getting really weak output, and so it was conducting, and some voltage was dropping, but very poor conductivity. And they went in and they touched up that joint, and their problem went away. So it's just about finding where the weak connection was that was not allowing electricity to flow. All right. Oh, come on. I kind of don't want this just loose. It's kind of funny because I have all of this space in this chassis, but over here where I kind of need the most space, I'm actually the most limited. But I will get this through here in a second. Alright, so let me snip that about here. Well, that accidentally probably just helped me a little bit. Alright. Well, now 420 volts, is this the phase inverter, or is that down at the first preamp tube? Because 420 almost seems a bit high. Usually the dropping resistors, you'll have 400 and some odd for the 6v6s, but then there should be a dropping resistor that takes it down near the 300 range, if I recall. I haven't looked at the 5e3 or built one specifically, but I'm trying to go off of my Tweedledee Deluxe, and they could be a little different, so I could be kind of talking about the wrong thing, so I don't want to necessarily lead you astray, but 400 also seems kind of high. You want to make sure that you're seeing the same voltage drop on your power tubes as well. So, I've got to kind of clean up another area here. Solder sucker to the rescue. Alright, that did get bent down a bit. Let me kind of try and bend this back up. That's better. Alright, now I can solder that ground point in. So here's an interesting topic for you. One of the big threads that's going on right now on one of the forums I'm on, the Amp Garage, is that people are talking about there's new capacitors designed supposedly to be more like the original old 60s capacitors. I think they're used in Marshalls. That looks funny. And oh, I see what's going on there. Okay. And there's kind of almost been a pretty excessively long thread going on about people talking about how those work, how they were built back then, and that this new build and design by I think is it Sozo, they've made some. I myself am of the opinion that a lot of that stuff is audio foolery. I do try to use these polyesters because they're a little bit more expensive than the common, really basic Zycon ones, but I've used the Zycon ones in builds and never had a problem with them. So it's kind of a tough, debatable point is, does the capacitor, do these filtering or these coupling capacitors impact the tone that much? And I don't know the answer to that. It's a debate for the ages, I guess, but somebody can tell me their opinion on it in the channel, and I'd be happy to hear what you think. You have 470 at the first can, 455 at the second, 420 at the third, and then 100K it shows 420 to play the 12x7. That's right, that's right, because there's only one 12AX7. The second triode is the phase inverter, because it just does the, I think I'm trying to think of that's that called the cathode phase inverter, where the anode output goes in to one side and the cathode goes to the other side. So you're right. Maybe we can take a quick diversion if everybody's okay with that. I'm going to pull up that 5E3 schematic and look at it really quickly. Let's see. We'll kind of take a peek at that. The old Fender schematic. And now you may have built it from a kit and it might be a little different, but the Rob Arbonette site is the one this is coming off of, and the Rob Arbonette site has a ton of really good stuff at it, but let's pull this guy up here for everybody to look at, and then we'll make it go kind of full screen for a second, because I think this is definitely one of those good areas to chat about that will make sense if we can look at it. So let's pull it up full screen. No, you're not interrupting. This is a build with the shop. This is the build. It's not going to stop me from getting it done. It'll only take us an extra 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm here for an hour tonight. So the first dropping resistor you can see here is this 5K. Let me get my mouse up there so you can see it. So that should drop it some. Then there's another 22K that drops it right before the phase inverter. Oh no, actually that's the 12AX7. And then it comes across to the 12A7, but both of those would have. He doesn't have pictured on here what the voltage is, but dropping from here, that's a 22K dropping resistor. If the tubes are conducting, your voltage should drop pretty drastically around there. The phase inverter definitely can run at a higher voltage, and I've seen a lot of those around 400, but it's once it's dropping that through. So, and by the way, I highly recommend if you check out robert.com, he's got a whole bunch of cool mods you can do to the 5E3 as well if you want to, that are very nice. But your power rail comes in here and should be roughly the same when it hits the anode. But as soon as it hits the other side of the 100K, it's 56K on one, 100K on the other, you should definitely see a drop. A 10K and a 22. Okay, so you have a 10K here, so it just drops. And that might, because in the old days they were running at 120 or 110 volts, and we're at 120, so you might want to definitely drop down a little bit more on that first one instead of 5K. But also, really, sometimes people will go and tweak these values even a little bit more until they get them into a range that suits modern tubes a little better. But yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing really is if you can get good continuity tests pretty much between near this 22K resistor and the other side of the 56K, and then another good continuity test from this side of the 56K to the pin of the tube, and then similarly from that grounding pin all the way through to both the coupling cap here and the ground point, the ground references. Check all of those and make sure those are good. That you've got a good connection between the pin here and the 1500, from the 1500 to the 56K, and from the 56K to ground. Because if you don't have good continuity between those, you will not get what you want from it. So, all right, that is enough of a detour on that one, but we will go back. Hopefully that that helps a bit for you. I'll switch back to get over there. Back over to this guy. This guy, and then we'll make this small again. All right, cool. Thanks for the questions. I like hopefully being able to help. All right, so I've got the first triode complete. I just finished connecting in these guys. There's my mouse again. Get my mouse up there. Just connected guys in. They're all back together. I resoldered that in. Next step, I want to come and get this other side here. So I have the other blue lead and black lead from this guy that will go to this side. So, looking at that, the blue lead connects directly into the pin, which is I'm trying to see in here with these silly. Okay, so is that one? Is that correct? And the ground connects straight to just the other pin, which should be that one, which I can see as well. All right, so this is going to come under here. It's going to connect into that one. Actually, I want this to come underneath here as well. It's going to be a bit fun to get it right, but we will get it right. Alrighty, and then this guy's going to come down. I don't apologize. I told you that I'm asking for people to ask me these questions. You did nothing wrong. You followed the requested, please ask me questions. I'm more than happy to share what I know, and I will be learning in front of you guys. And I've had already some people on here that also taught me, so it's just a community effort, guys. Don't feel bad for asking to learn what I've learned by my hard experience. And hopefully these videos, that's the whole point I do these videos, is for a reference for people in the future as well that might be trying to face these things. People are going through and watching these videos, they'll learn from them as well. All right. Next. All right. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to be very careful of the angle come at this. Gotta get my tongue the right angle, the right hangulation of the fangulation, something. Alrighty. There we go. That is now connected in. And what I'll need to do is once that cools, there is a. I don't know if I can. I'm gonna have to give myself a little extra light for a minute. Apologies, guys. Did I get the solder blob down? I don't think I did. I have to hit that a little bit again. There is a the lead from the other resistor at the bottom. I just need to make sure that also gets some solder flowed onto it as well. And I'll double check with the lighting in really quickly. God, that's light. Yes. There we go. Good. So then I will need to kind of cautiously realign some of this stuff because I need to snip the lead that's running out of there without damaging other things. And I did. Sweet! I didn't mess anything up. Clap and grab that. Alright. So, next, let's see. Grounding lead. Oh, geez. See, I told you we're going to learn together. I just connected the high voltage wire to that instead of the wire I needed to. So I have to pull that back out now. No! No! Now, hopefully I didn't just cut that too short in general, but we'll see. Come on. This is supposed to go over and under there to this guy. And I, connected this one in again. saying that I was going to wait to do it until I was done with the area, and I wasn't. This connects in over here, and I hope I didn't cut it too short. Because if I did, I'm going to be sad. Oh, I think I've got just enough lead. I might be blocking you guys when I do this, but... Oh, shoot. Are you serious? I just melted on the coax a little bit. I can't even get that to melt in there. I need to clean the tip probably. Yeah, I know that's been my battle, is that with what I usually will when I'm doing builds and I have a choice, I try to make it as spacious as possible, so that guys with me with big hands can get into it easier. That's been one of my constant battles, and much of my pain revolves around me accidentally doing something with my big fat hand and big fingers. But I also find it quite tricky getting in with a soldering iron in a lot of these spaces that are very tight without melting things also. So being the right angle right there. I don't want to heat things badly. I don't know if I got that in the hole or not. I think I did. Hey, I did. I'm going to double check some continuity. So we're going to grab my leads here. And we're going to see, because this power is supposed to connect. So I'll connect to the lead here. And then I will connect to... Good, I've got continuity. Good. All right, so that did make it into the hole. It's just kind of at an angle that I can't see very well. This was the one that I wanted to run underneath there and cut correctly. So now that I have the right thing. So what that does is this line will come connect to the bottom end of this resistor down here. When I connect it to the bottom end of that resistor, it goes through a dropping resistor, and then that comes over to this preamp tube, as well as jumping over to the FET input. So this is another filtering level for this last preamp tube in the FET. So that's what I kind of borked there. But we sorted her out. Alright, so now I'm going to try this again. Where's my... Now I get to kind of carefully get this in here again. Oh, Mallory's busy mouthing off to somebody. She's had enough of your shit, and she's going to tell you all about it. Alright, I will reflow a little bit around that now, and it should be good. You burned Burned 3 wires last night, yeah. Flux, I need to get some more too. You know, I found out, I don't know if I noticed last time, but I found out that flux that I have is like 2 years past its expiration. So I'm guessing the chemicals in it are bad. Now, that does remind me, there was something we were talking about with the flux where I was having problems, if you remember, with the getting a good ground. And I might even kind of come back and focus on this for a second. This guy over here these grounds I was doing were just doing a miserable job. Someone on the forums mentioned a thing called galvanic reaction. Galvanic reaction is caused by, I think, creating flux, solder, heat, and two dissimilar metals, copper and, in this case, it's an aluminum wire. They don't bond well together. You can solder tin to aluminum. You'll see that I've gotten that, but you cannot solder copper directly to it. So what I've had to do is I created a short jumper wire instead and soldered it to what little bit of copper wire I had left on this guy, and it looks kind of ugly, but it worked. And then there was another one that I hadn't done yet. I just soldered that directly to it and connected it. So I'll have to come back to these other two, snip them away likely. Well, this one I think I got enough connection. I'm not sure, but you know, I feel comfortable with that one. This one I don't know if I do. I'm going to be doing those later, but I just wanted to remind people that try not to solder copper directly to aluminum. It does not work. You need to have some other metal that works better. Tin, like I said, the tin ones have been working in soldering the aluminum very well. The tin wires on the inside of these cables here, or these wires here. All right, my lastly is going to be my ground, which one of the things I've got to be careful with here is the, well, I just put my pliers in there. The resistors here for my 10 meg are kind of close to what I want to do for the anode right here. So I have to be a little careful, but I'll clean that out. And I will get my anode over there. And we'll feed that through as well. Hopefully this isn't too boring for you guys. Yeah, well, if you're using, you said your bus wire did that, but did you use an aluminum bus wire or did you use a copper bus wire? I just happen to have I bought some fence wire. Oops, that's on me. Because people told me that it was good as a bus bar. Electric fence wire. It's all aluminum, but the whole point of it is it just, is great because it's cheap, but it works great as a grounding bar. And that's what this is that I have in my bus bar. But the disadvantage I've found is that it definitely is kind of hard to solder to. That's part of why I will clean it with some sandpaper ahead of time to get any of the corrosion off of it. And then flux it definitely helps, as said. But you need to also do a really good job of using the right kinds of materials together so that you're not causing yourself more pain in your, solving. All right. So now, with this one, got that one. Now, one of the things that I will be going to do once I finish soldering all this in is I will be able to do a test of, like I mentioned, that continuity test. Well, I do more than that now. I take a print out of the layout and or the schematic. I usually have both of them nearby. And I will take a magic marker and test every single connection, and then I'll show you this mouse with a mouse. If I was to be going, say, from this connection here to here, this resistor, I go to that resistor and I double check the connection here and I double check the connection there and make sure they're all soldered. And once I do and it's the right value, I highlight it with a magic marker saying that one's done. And I double check every single thing on the layout. And if there's anything confusing, that's why we'll go to the schematic sometimes to double check things. But that is for me to double check every single thing is as it's supposed to be. MG Chemicals. Okay, I will check them out. By the way, I want to also thank, thanks. I also have got, I don't know why, but you reminded me. I've created, if you look in the comment section of all my videos now, including this live stream, to kind of help support the channel, I've set up for all the stuff you see me using, like you've probably seen me using my Panavice that I really love with also the Helping Hands unit on it. My soldering iron, you said you don't have a great soldering iron. I've got a Heiko FX88D that I love. That, I can highly recommend it because I've used it a lot and it's been great. If you guys want to buy any of that kind of stuff, any of the stuff that I have, you can click on, oh, cool, thanks. Are you doing the tracing? Yeah, that's been really invaluable for me. If you click on those links and buy from those links through Amazon, it'll end up also giving a small percentage of that sale to me and helps the channel. So I just thought I would start trying to get some of those things available for people to, if you're already planning on buying that stuff and you do it based upon those links, you'll help me out and the channel out. So I do highly recommend that you guys try that out if you can. All right, so the Next thing we want to do. So we've got this first preamp tube all wired up, completely done. Next is going to be the second preamp tube, which is the overdrive. So let's look at that. I'll try and pull that a little bit more middle of the screen, which is this one here. So I've got, I need to run, I've got so I'm just trying to look here. The first thing I want to connect will be, let's see. All right, so the green lead that comes off this, so this is my overdrive adjustment. And the way that works is, the way Dumble set these up was he would let the person play the drive at the setting they liked it, and he would adjust this, and that adjusted the amount of drive it had in a more kind of permanent way, and he could get it right at the growly level, or he could kind of back off and make it just kind of subtle to where they liked it. They could still use the knob on the front to dial it up all the way to their max, but he kind of set their max. Dan Gamsby, I just did. What did you just do? Welcome, by the way, Dan. Good to have you here. So, I'll wait for Dan to respond, since as I mentioned to earlier people, it takes a few seconds for me to, I read it, I send it, and you guys have a lag, so it'll take a little bit for me to respond to stuff that you say. So, all right, so this one is going to connect in to where the 68K one is, which is back here. So, let's see, I'll just run it back this way and behind. Here. Alrighty. And that was another, actually, mentioning that Heiko, by the way, that was another discussion I just saw on Facebook today, where somebody was asking which soldering iron to use. And it seemed to me like I'm not the only person that overwhelmingly loves the Heiko. The only thing I wish is that I could one of these days afford to buy there's like a nicer Heiko. This Heiko's not bad. It's about $100. If you can scrape up your shekels to get that, it's worth it. But yeah, you looked at the solder station? Yeah, it's a great one. I love it. But the next step up is one of those ones that has the newer generation tips. So there's the Guitologist had a really cool video where EEV blog had a cool video where he kind of talked about those two solder tip types. And if you look at this one, I'm not going to touch it because it's going to burn me if I do, but if you were to unscrew this little piece comes off and just the metal is a separate tip, and the heating is inside of the outer part. There's a newer generation ones that cost a bit, where the entire tip itself is the heating element, and it's a solid piece, so you can't have losses in this, as much loss in the system, so they work quite a bit better, but that's all right. So at any rate, it's probably one of these next years. This one still works great for me, so I'm in no hurry, but I will upgrade to one of those nicer ones at some point down the road. Yeah, this one, and I think this one is also, it says on the iron, this is a 65 watt, so if you're looking at a 70 watt, it would be even a little bit more robust than this Heiko is. And people say a lot of good things about Weller as well. I don't know, I've not had a Weller. Weller's another brand though that I think I've heard a lot of people speak highly of, so I don't think you could go wrong using a Weller either. All right. All right, there's that. All wired in. Yeah, the tips especially actually are really important, and there's a lot of good videos on YouTube that will show you about tip maintenance. You should regularly clean the tip on, and also, by the way, I've read before, and it actually makes sense to me, using the sponge cleaning method is a very bad way to clean your tip, because it thermal shocks it by dropping the temperature really fast, and it can end up wearing your tip out faster. So that's a good tip to remember, is try not to use those too often. It's better instead to get some of that kind of, like, you'll look gold colored like metal stuff, and you stick it in and you rub it off on those. Whenever I do that, I end up getting a very clean tip, and resoldering with that is a lot easier. So All right, so my next thing is going to be, we just did the 68K connection here. I need to get the anode from that next to it, so that's going to be this guy right here. And that will connect to pin, maybe pin 1, is that right? Oh, I've got this. Yeah, it's the first pin on that half of the triode anyway. So there'll be pin 1. So, I think I should probably bring that guy around this way. And what I'll possibly end up doing is once I'm done wiring all these up is I'll let you guys have a nice close and zoomed in shot so you can kind of see what has been accomplished today. It's dark in this corner. It's hard to see what I'm doing, but I will zoom that up so you can see a little better. Oh, this is the one I had to flow a little solder in, wasn't it? I have to heat it a little bit to get in. And then I can touch it up with a little bit of solder. Aco 599B02 wire tip soldering iron tip cleaner. Is that the that kind of brassy looking stuff I was talking about, you know, or is that an actual device that's good for cleaning your tips? A separate one that I'm aware of. All right. MG Chemicals, SAC tip tinner, lead free, no clean. Yeah, I definitely have read about those as well. Those are really good, the tip tinner and cleaner. It's just like a small circular thing, and you just, I think if I understand right, you have the soldering iron cold, and you dip it in that stuff, and then as it heats up, the flux will burn off, but clean it very well as also. So, or something like that, but I've not used those, and that's something I definitely want to also look at getting. Well, thanks for stopping by, Dan. I appreciate you coming and chatting with us and watching for a little while. All right. I can snip that excess a little now. Where are my pliers? Over there. All right. Sometimes I just, like, it's a hard time, I have a hard time getting out these little bits of leads and things. What I'll end up doing is just, anyway, when I finish the amp, is I'll turn it upside down and shake the crap out of it and get any of the loose bits out. But, alright. Next up, what do we have? I gotta do my grounding wire, which is either of these guys. This one I'm gonna do. And that one connects over to this side, so we will come under here. And here, and then out from there. Yeah, I definitely will have to look at that. I'll go back through this afterwards and give those links out as well for people that might want that stuff. That's a good idea. This is all stuff that, if you're going to be getting into this even as a serious hobby, is invaluable to making the quality of your work just that much better. So I will definitely do that. Thank you very much. Gotta quickly solder that guy in. One of the things I'm hoping as I do this more and more as well is the cleanliness of my, oh, the bottom. So That, I'll double check for you really quickly, but I'm pretty sure that should just be Dumble or Fender or Marshall. I believe that all of those are pretty much available. I'll check it right now, actually, since you've asked the question about what is it. Because I'm not trying to stop people from joining. I'm the one that set that. I'm one of the mods and admins there. I just wanted it to not be something spammers can get access to. Real people don't go watch YouTube videos in a chance of trying to find a way to get into another forum, right? But spammers just aggressively try random crap in a forum and post like that. So I just want it to be spam-proof. So let me double check. I can pull it up over here on my other machine and see what... let's see if I can remember what that was. Give me 1 second. Oh my, good grief, my Mac's freeze up here. I did, by the way, why not me? I did reply to that on you, kind of generically on that. You commented about that on one of the videos, and I mentioned that to you there. Oh my lord, Firefox is exploding. There we go. All right, so yeah, my Mac may need to be rebooted after this video here. So admin control panel. I just basically wanted it to be something that should be fairly obvious to people that are into the idea of doing this stuff, but not some spammers gonna be able to figure out quickly and easily. So clip-on heat sinks, yeah, I definitely, I've used those. One of the things I've found though, so far, if you get heat in quick and you get out quick, I've not had a component go bad on me yet. But well, I shouldn't say that. When I was early and young at doing this, I ruined a couple of potentiometers keeping heat on for so long. But clip-out heat sinks do help a lot. I know that. I definitely agree with that. Oh, come on. There we go. Man, this might take me a half an hour to try and get logged in and look that up. It may have been that I just did Dumble and Trainwreck, because those are the two main ones that are talked about on these forums. Are the Dumble builds and Trainwreck builds. They do have some general chat about the other types, but I'm going to give up on that because it'll be all night. Get logged in quickly. So let me look that up for you. Where's the anti-spam settings here? Spam bot countermeasures, is that it? Q&A, configure. So it looks like the options are Trainwreck or Dumble. So if you type in one of those two, you should get in. So hopefully that'll help you figure that out. And then you'll be able to sign up and go in and see all the pictures and whatnot. Alright, so that is done soldering. Let me go ahead and snip that lead as well. This should all start looking a little bit cleaner. I get these done. Now, one of the things you'll see here that I won't do kind of until near the end. You do not want this kind of stuff just laying flapping in the breeze. It won't be. I'm going to shoot some silicone underneath it to give it a thing to like rest on so that it can't vibrate when and this amp is being played and moved around. All right. So those two. Okay. No, I'm not done. I was going to say those are two are done, but they're not. I have to finish the anode and cathode of the other half, which goes to. So the anode blue goes to pin 1, which will be over here. I'm just going to wire up this other one, I think, and we might end up calling that a night because we're already getting near my hour point that I try and keep these lives to. Yeah, let me know. And if you want to. The Frenchy Films is my channel. If you go to frenchyfilms.com, I've got an email link. You can also email me, and I will email you back definitely if you have any questions or anything. Period. Even, related to amp garage related to builds. I'm more than happy to chat via email as well. Oh, come on. There we go. That worked. Alright, let me get some solder on that guy. Aha, cotton swabs. That's a good idea. I have been trying to find a good thing to clean I have some denatured alcohol for cleaning. I have some of those kind of acid brushes, I guess you'd call them, but they always seem to not be that great for me to do that. And so you might have just given me a great tip for that. I appreciate that. I have always fought to get those. When I'm done with all this soldering, I go back over it and I definitely cover that with the denatured alcohol. The scrubbing with those little things is a pain in the butt, and I'll bet you that will definitely make it a lot easier. So thank you for that tip. Sounds like you've been doing a lot of soldering. You're good at the soldering stuff. Alright, last but not least, this other ground. Go to this guy. Alright, one more solder to go. So there's one other thing that will come across here that I haven't done yet, and I think I'm going to wait till near the end to do it, is there will be there is a connection that connects into this guy, which is the drive coaxial, which kind of comes out of side over here. I don't remember if it's from here or if it comes from there. And I am now down to about my last little bit of this RG59U, but I believe it comes from somewhere over here, and it will connect into that guy. So I'll run that in kind of like that. But I'm going to wait to do that until I've gotten most of the rest of that area done, because I also have to kind of finish connecting a few other things and whatnot. So. Alright, clean that up. I'm trying to look at that. I was about to snip it, but it looks like I didn't get a very good solder connection there. So sometimes it's good to be going through things because you notice other things that were done as well. Good. Good to know you got in. So I will touch this up a little bit more. There we go. Carefully come in. Snip that way. Snip that way. All right. So we are now, I think, other than the last thing that I mentioned, done here. Let me go ahead and clean up. I'm just trying to clean up any wires that now are loose and laying around and ugly that I don't need. All right. I am going to zoom in here into this area so you guys can see a little bit better what I did today. Let's get that. I'll get this out of the way. So that's really the whole real estate I've been working in. And I will kind of try and use just a little wire here. So I was able to solder in, let's start this side. I was able to connect in all of my leads around in here. All of these around here, all of these, any of these that need to be connected in here. Then I was able to connect these two new ceramic capacitors, 270 picofarad, into these, and then solder in all the leads that connect in there. Another lead here, etc. So all of that was a decent amount of work, but we've got it done. These two tubes are now done. Hopefully my next video will really be coming back over, and we will be working on this one down here, which is the phase inverter. And then I'm also going to need to drill 2 holes in here because this is where my effects send and return go, is right in here. So I'll be getting that done. And then, so at that point, I think the only thing going to be left is going to be double checking things. I have to run these output wires over and connect to these 2 wires, and then finish my grounds. And I think that's just about done. So I have at this point mostly just questions. I'll leave the floor open for a couple more questions. I'm just going to kind of hang around for about 3 or 4 more minutes because I'm done. Give some time for latency if anybody has questions about things. But I absolutely appreciate everybody coming along and watching. I'd be more than happy to answer questions here for the next little bit if you have them. Look at this. Fina's got a bunch more ESD tweezers set. And that's what these tweezers are. I actually do have some of those. I got these. Those are pretty nice. You can see on them they say ESD. Let me put it in the frame. These guys. I've got several of those. Those are absolutely great. Kim White's Delicate Task Wipe, where you wipe down first and scrub with your acid brush, and has been cut short and cleaner, and all the flux will wick into the wipe. Oh, nice. So what kind of soldering did you do with that? Was that almost sounds like it could be Milsec or NASA type soldering, or was this just for something else? But that's interesting, cool stuff. One of the things, speaking of that I thought was cool was how you do a lineman splice, and how you do a lot of, there's some good docs out there that show you how to do those kind of soldering connections, and it's pretty crazy about how tight those tolerances are for that kind of stuff. I'm going to pull this back a little bit. But at any rate, thanks everybody for joining. Absolutely, I know that's part of why I'm trying to have people help with mine. Is it's always a funds problem with everyone in life. I think you're always trying to kind of scrape together to get what you need. I just appreciate you guys watching, and if you can spare a little bit here and there to help my channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. And ultimately, even some of the stuff I'll put there is not going to be expensive. The things you need, like solder, I'm going to try and find the solder that I have, put that on there. Just things like that you have to buy anyway. That will hopefully also help you guys get the things you need, and it will also help my channel out as well. So, NASA, nice. I'm an engineering guy myself, my main trade, and so I love NASA, space, and science fiction, and all that jazz. So, another reason you're one of my heroes, right? Doing all the cool stuff, all the space stuff. I wish I had more of a chance to work on that kind of stuff, but I'm in the software side myself right now. If I could work for SpaceX, I would be pretty happy. All right, everybody, thank you very much for joining in. If you've waited through this long and survived, please do give this video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe. When you subscribe, hit the little bell icon on the side, because that will give you alerts most of the time. I guess in their infinite wisdom, I did read that YouTube has decided they don't always alert you at that, so you won't get every single announcement, which is annoying to me and probably annoying to you as well. But so they just decided at random when to do that. I will definitely open an affiliate at Banged as well and give some links to that as well. Excellent. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you guys being along with me. Have a great night, and we will see you. I'm going to most likely stream again on Saturday, so come join me in the shop on Saturday, and we'll finish building this dang thing. Cheers. Have a good night.